So let me ask you, because like you said, it definitely changes things up a little bit with Brock Lesnar being champion on the other side. Because I think most people assume that we're going to get Brock versus Roman at WrestleMania for the title, and we still might get that title versus title match. I just don't think that's happening this year. I think if we do get that title versus title match, it's going to be next year. Not next year, but it's going to be later on, like maybe 6-7 months down the road. I think that's like a Survivor Series type thing, Raw versus SmackDown, you unify the titles there or something like that. Who do you think, Keila, wins the Rumble now? Or what do you think they do with the Rumble? If the plan is to do a title unification, what do you do with the Rumble? And if it's not, who would you have win the Rumble? What do you think they do now?
There is a name that has been floating around lately, and this dude has been working on his fitness as of late in Europe, in the lab. And he must have the same fitness plan as Imperium. I've been hearing a lot about Walter possibly winning the Royal Rumble and maybe going after a Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. He would be the only guy that would strike legit fear in their hearts to say, oh, fuck, I'm not walking away with this belt at WrestleMania. He could be the guy to do that. I've heard a lot of rumblings about Walter jumping up to the main roster, being stateside a bit more this year. And to me, that would be huge for WWE, a guy that is no nonsense and would absolutely strike fear and scare the shit out of Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar for either championship.
I think the Walter thing works really well, especially with babyface Brock. There's not a lot of guys that you can throw at him where he can kind of be a little bit of an underdog as a babyface, and Walter is a guy that you can do that with. Not only would I love to see Walter chop Brock Lesnar, just open hand palm slap the hell out of his sword and just, try to put that sword into his chest literally and make it disappear. But I would love to see Brock Lesnar tossing Walter around, because he would absolutely take a trip to Suplex City and the crowd would eat it up. I think that's a money WrestleMania match that a lot of people would be intrigued by, because Brock Lesnar is a fantastic worker. Walter is one of the best in the world. I think that that's a fantastic match. So if you do that, so let's say that happens, what do you do with Roman?
That's a good question. So at this point, we have a feeling that the pivot is going to be Drew McIntyre eventually. That's why he's stuck feuding with Happy Corbin right now alongside Madcap Moss. That could be a WrestleMania possibility. If a SmackDown star does not win the Royal Rumble, then you've got the Elimination Chamber as your last chance to get somebody as the number one contender for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in Dallas. That is the only other option that I have. In a perfect world, I would love King Xavier to be elevated, but I don't trust WWE to do it. And knowing how New Day title reigns have began and ended over the last couple of years, keep him far, far away from any major championships, because I don't want to be angry again.
I think if you do Drew McIntyre versus Roman, he still needs a big win, and nobody on SmackDown can give him that big win. I think he would have to be the guy to win the Rumble. I don't even think an elimination. I think that Rumble win is what he needs. Another Rumble win with the fans, in front of the fans. I think that would kind of give him that big win and that big momentum he would need to fit. Because you got to be ready when you go against Roman, or you're going to get ate up. The crowd really likes Roman. They'll get behind you, but you got to bring it, and you have to have a little bit of credibility with him. I don't like the feud right now with Drew McIntyre and Corbin and Madcap Moss and Corbin about to have these split personalities. So I just think Drew really, he's just got to be ready I think he needs a big win. And I don't know if there's a guy on SmackDown who could give him that, unless he faces like Edge in a number one contenders match. That's something that could really do it for him. But outside of that, I don't think anything but a Rumble win could elevate him enough to get him at that level for a Roman. Because a believable level, let me rephrase that, a believable level to beat Roman.
Yeah, and my outside chance is always Seth Rollins, as that's a great built-in story for Roman as well. Too. Yeah, so those options. But as we keep naming familiar names outside of Walter, it really is telling that there is not a fresh face from WWE, not named Braun Breaker, that could break through and get into a main spot at a WrestleMania. And that's a blessing and a curse for WWE. We're naming a lot of veterans and not a top, fresh, new face that can give the veterans a run for their money.
Hey, Braun
it's
Breaker,
telling
though,
that we have to go, yeah.
Braun Breaker, though, that's not a, hey, you want to put a rocket strap on somebody, though, that'd be a way to do it. Have him win the Rumble, go after Roman, beat Roman. I mean, what more could you do?
That is true. I do want my man to run NXT for about a year.
Oh, no,
have
me
the
too.
keys.
Absolutely.
Have the keys, slow roll them a bit, then move them up for WrestleMania in California for next year. But it is telling that we name a lot of veteran people that have been there, done that at WrestleMania, and it's not a fresher face in the title scene outside of Walter. And that is something that WWE has to work on heading into the new year. We've been saying this for a very long time, but it's more prevalent than ever to really get a fresh new face against these vets who are great. But you have to think about the future because a lot of these guys are not getting any younger.